Welcome all of you for today's Bhagavad Gita reading session. Let us begin with prayers. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is by His Divine Grace Vishwaguru Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. Chapter 11 entitled The Universal Form. Text 48. न वेदयज्ञाध्ययनैर्न दानैर्न च क्रियाभिर्न तपोभिरुग्रैः एवं रूपः शक्यमहं नृलोके द्रष्टुम त्वदन्येन कुरु प्रवीरा. Synonyms: na, never; Veda, Vedic study; Yajna, sacrifices; Adhyayanaihi, studying; na, nadanaihi, by charity; na, never; cha, also; kriyabhihi, by pious activities; na tapobhihi, by serious penances; ugraihi, severe; evam, thus; rupaha, form; shakyaha, can be seen; aham, I; nriloke, in this material world; drashtum, to see; tvat, you; anyena, by another; kuru pravira, O best among the Kuru warriors. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation: The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O best of the Kuru warriors, no one before you has ever seen this universal form of mine, for neither by studying the Vedas, nor by performing sacrifices, nor by charities or similar activities can this form be seen. Only you have seen this. Purport: The divine vision in this connection should be clearly understood. Who can have divine vision? Divine means godly. Unless one attains the status of divinity as a demigod, he cannot have a divine vision. And what is a demigod? It is stated in the Vedic scriptures that those who are devotees of Lord Vishnu are demigods. Those who are atheistic, that is, who do not believe in Vishnu, or who only recognize the impersonal part of Krishna as the Supreme, cannot have the divine vision. It is not possible to decry Krishna and at the same time have the divine vision. One cannot have the divine vision without becoming divine. In other words, those who have divine vision can also see like Arjuna. The Bhagavad Gita gives the description of the universal form, and this description was unknown to everyone before Arjuna. Now one can have some idea of the Vishwarupa after this incident. Those who are actually divine can see the universal form of the Lord, but one cannot be divine without being a pure devotee of Krishna. The devotees, however, who are actually in the divine nature and who have divine vision are not very much interested to see the universal form of the Lord. As described in the previous verse, Arjuna desired to see the four-handed form of Lord Krishna as Vishnu, and he was actually afraid of the universal form. In this verse, there are some significant words, just like Veda Yajnadhyayanaihi, which refers to studying Vedic literature and the subject matter of sacrificial regulations. Veda refers to all kinds of Vedic literature, namely, Veda refers to all kinds of Vedic literature, namely the four Vedas, Ruk, Yajus, Sama, and Atharva, and the 18 Puranas and Upanishads and Vedanta Sutra. One can study these at home or anywhere else. Similarly, there are sutras, Kalpa Sutras and Mimamsa Sutras for studying the method of sacrifice. Danaihi refers to charity which is offered to a suitable party, such as those who are engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, the Brahmanas, and the Vaishnavas. Similarly, pious activities refer to the Agnihotra, etc., the prescribed duties of the different castes. Pious activities and the voluntary acceptance of some bodily pains are called tapasya. So one can perform all these, can accept bodily penances, give charity, study the Vedas, etc. But unless he is a devotee like Arjuna, it is not possible to see that universal form. Those who are impersonalists are also imagining that they are seeing the universal form of the Lord, but from Bhagavad Gita, we understand that the impersonalists are not devotees. Therefore, they are unable to see the universal form of the Lord. There are many persons who create incarnations. They falsely claim an ordinary human to be an incarnation, but this is all foolishness. We should follow the principles of Bhagavad Gita, otherwise, there is no possibility of attaining perfect spiritual knowledge. Although Bhagavad Gita is considered the preliminary study of the science of God, still it is so perfect that one can distinguish what is what. The followers of a pseudo incarnation may say that they have also seen the transcendental incarnation of God, the universal form, but that is not acceptable because it is clearly stated here that unless one becomes a devotee of Krishna, one cannot see the universal form of God. So, one first of all has to become a pure devotee of Krishna, then he can claim that he can show the universal form what he has seen. A devotee of Krishna cannot accept false incarnations or followers of false incarnations. Text 49. माते व्यथा मा च विमूढभावो दृष्ट्वा रूपं घोरमीदृन्ममेदम् व्यपेतभिप्रीतमना पुनस्त्वं तदेव मे रूपमिदं प्रपश्य. Synonyms: Ma, let it not be; Te, unto you; Vyatha, trouble; Ma, let it not be; Cha, also; Vimodha bhavaha, bewilderment; Drishtvo, Drishtva, by seeing; Rupam, form; Ghoram, horrible; Idrik, like this; Mama, mine; Idam, as it is; Vyapeta bhihi, just become free from all fear; Pritamanaha, be pleased in mind; Punaha, again; Tvam, you; Tat, that; Eva, thus; Me, my; Rupam, form; Idam, this; Prapashya, just see. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation: The Supreme Lord said, your mind has been perturbed upon seeing this horrible feature of mine. Now let it be finished. My devotee, be free from all disturbance. With a peaceful mind, You can now see the form you desire. Purport. In the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was worried about killing Bhishma and Drona, his worshipful grandfathers and masters. But Krishna said that he need not be afraid of killing his grandfather. When they tried to disrobe Draupadi in the assembly, Bhishma and Drona were silent, and for such negligence of duty, they should be killed. Krishna showed his universal form to Arjuna just to show him that these people were already killed for their unlawful action. That scene was shown to Arjuna because devotees are always peaceful and they cannot perform such horrible actions. The purpose of the revelation of the universal form was shown. Now, Arjuna wanted to see the four-armed form, and Krishna showed him. A devotee is not much interested in the universal form, for it does not enable one to reciprocate loving feelings. A devotee wants to offer his respectful worshipping feelings. Thus, he wants to see the two-handed or four-handed Krishna form so he can reciprocate in loving service with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 50. Sanjaya Uvacha इत्यर्जुनं वासुदेवस्तथोक्त्वा स्वकं रूपं दर्शयामास भूयः आश्वासयामास च भीतमेनं भूत्वा पुनः सौम्य वपुर्महात्मा. Synonyms. Sanjaya Uvacha. Sanjaya said, Iti, thus, Arjunam, unto Arjuna, Vasudevaha, Krishna, Tatha, that way, Uktva, saying, Swakam, his own, Rupam, form, Darshayamasa, showed, Bhuyaha, again, Ashvasayamasa, also convinced him, Cha, also, Bhitam, fearful, Enam, him, Bhutva Punaha, becoming again, Saumya Vapuhu, beautiful form, Mahatma, the Great One. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Sanjaya said to Dhritarashtra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, while speaking thus to Arjuna, displayed his real four-armed form, and at last he showed him his two-armed form, thus encouraging the fearful Arjuna. Purport. When Krishna appeared as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, he first of all appeared as four-armed Narayana. But when he was requested by his parents, he transformed himself into an ordinary child in appearance. Similarly, Krishna knew that Arjuna was not interested in seeing a four-handed form of Krishna, but since he asked to see this four-handed form, he, he also showed him this form again and then showed himself in his two-handed form. The word Saumya Vapuhu is very significant. Saumya Vapu is very beautiful form. It is Saumya Vapu is a very beautiful form. It is known as the most beautiful form. When he was present, everyone was attracted simply by Krishna's form. And because Krishna is director of the universe, he just banished the fear of Arjuna, his devotee, and showed him again his beautiful form of Krishna. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that only a person whose eyes are smeared with the ointment of love can see the beautiful form of Sri Krishna. Text 51. Arjuna Uvacha Drishtvedam Manusham Rupam Tava Saumyam Janardana Idanimasmi Samvrittaha Sacheta Prakritim Gataha. Synonyms. Arjuna Uvacha. Arjuna said, Drishtva, seeing, idam, this, manusham, human being, rupam, form, tava, your, saumyam, very beautiful, Janardana, O chastiser of the enemies, idanim, just now, asmi, I am, samvrittaha, settled, sachetaha, in my consciousness, prakritim, my own, gataha, I am. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation. When Arjuna thus saw Krishna in his original form, he said, seeing this human like form, so very beautiful, my mind is now pacified and I am restored to my original nature. Purport. Here, the words Manusham Rupam clearly indicate the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be originally two handed. Those who deride Krishna to be an ordinary person are shown here to be ignorant of his divine nature. If Krishna is like an ordinary human being, then how is it possible for him to show the universal form and again to show the four handed Narayana form? So it is very clearly stated in Bhagavad Gita that one who thinks that Krishna is an ordinary person and misguides the reader by claiming that it is the impersonal Brahman within Krishna speaking is doing the greatest injustice. Krishna has actually shown his universal form and his four handed Vishnu form. So, how can he be an ordinary human being? A pure devotee is not confused by misguiding commentaries on Bhagavad Gita because he knows what is what. The original verses of Bhagavad Gita are as clear as the sun. They do not require lamplight from foolish commentators. Text 52. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Sudurdarsham Rupam Drashtavanasi Mama Devapyasya Devapyasya Rupasya Nityam Darshana Kankshinaha. Synonyms. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Sudurdarshana, very difficult to be seen. Idam, this. Rupam, form. Drishtavan asi, as you have seen. Yat, which. Mama, of mine. Devaha, the demigods. Api asya, also this. Rupasya, of the form. Nityam, eternally. Darshana Kangshinaha, always aspire to see. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation. The Blessed Lord said, my dear Arjuna, the form which you are now seeing is very difficult to behold. Even the demigods are ever seeking the opportunity to see this form which is so dear. Purport. In the 48th verse of this chapter, Lord Krishna concluded revealing his universal form and informed Arjuna that this form is not possible to be seen by so many activities, sacrifices, etc. Now, here the word Sudurdarsham is used, indicating that Krishna's two handed form is still more confidential. One may be able to see the universal form of Krishna by adding a little tinge of devotional service to various activities like penance, Vedic study, and philosophical speculation, etc. It may be possible, but without a tinge of bhakti, one cannot see that has already been explained. Still, beyond that universal form, the form of Krishna as a two handed man is still more difficult to see, even for demigods like Brahma and Lord Shiva. They desire to see him, and we have evidences in the Srimad Bhagavatam that when he was supposed to be in the womb of his mother Devaki, all the demigods from heaven came to see the marvel of Krishna. They even waited to see him. A foolish person may deride him, but that is an ordinary person. Krishna is actually desired to be seen by demigods like Brahma and Shiva in his two-armed form. In Bhagavad Gita, it is also confirmed that he is not visible to the foolish persons who deride him. Krishna's body, as confirmed by Brahma Samhita and as confirmed by himself in Bhagavad Gita, is completely spiritual and full of bliss and eternality. His body is never like a material body, but for some who make a study of Krishna by reading Bhagavad Gita or similar Vedic scriptures, Krishna is a problem. For one using a material process, Krishna is considered to be a great historical personality and very learned philosopher. But he isn't an ordinary man. But some think that even though he was so powerful, he had to accept a material body. Ultimately, they think that the absolute truth is impersonal. Therefore, they think that from his impersonal feature, he assumed a personal feature attached to material nature. This is a materialistic calculation of the Supreme Lord. Another calculation is speculative. Those who are in search of knowledge also speculate on Krishna and consider him to be less important than the universal form of the Supreme. Thus, some think that the universal form of Krishna, which was manifested to Arjuna, is more important than his personal form. According to them, the personal form of the Supreme is something imaginary. They believe that in the ultimate issue, the absolute truth is not a person, but the transcendental process is described in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, to hear about Krishna from authorities. That is the actual Vedic process. And those who are actually in the Vedic line hear about Krishna from authority, and by repeated hearing about him, Krishna becomes dear. As we have several times discussed, Krishna is covered by his Yogamaya potency. He is not to be seen or revealed to anyone and everyone. Only by one to whom he reveals himself can he be seen. This is confirmed in Vedic literature. For one who is a surrendered soul, the absolute truth can actually be understood. The transcendentalist, by continuous Krishna consciousness and by devotional service to Krishna, can have his spiritual eyes opened and can see Krishna by revelation. Such a revelation is not possible even for the demigods. Therefore, it is difficult even for the demigods to understand Krishna, and the advanced demigods are always in hope of seeing Krishna in his two-handed form. The conclusion is that although to see the universal form of Krishna is very, very difficult and not possible for anyone and everyone, it is still more difficult to understand his personal form as Shyama Sundara. Text 53. Naham vedairna tapasa nadane na chejaya shakya evam vidho drashtum drashtavanasi mam yatha. Synonyms: Na, never. Aham, I. Vedaihi, by study of the Vedas. Na, never. Tapasa, by serious penances. Na, never. Danena, by charity. Na, never. Cha, also. Ijyaya, by worship. Shakyaha, shakyaha, is it possible? Evam vidhaha, like this. Drashtum, to see. Drishtavan, seeing. Asi, you are. Mam, me. Yatha, as. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation: the form which you are seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas, nor by undergoing serious penances, nor by charity, nor by worship. It is not by these means that one can see me as I am. Purport: Krishna first appeared before his parents Devaki and Vasudeva in a four-handed form, and then he transformed himself into the two-handed form. This mystery is very difficult to understand for those who are atheists or who are devoid of devotional service. For scholars who have simply studied Vedic literature by way of speculation or out of mere academic interest, Krishna is not easy to understand, nor is he to be understood by persons who officially go to the temple to offer worship. They make their visit, but they cannot understand Krishna as he is. Krishna can be understood only through the path of devotional service, as explained by Krishna himself in the next verse. Text 54. Bhaktya tvananyaya shakya ahamevam vidhorjuna ज्ञातुं द्रष्टुं च तत्त्वेन प्रवेष्टुं च परन्तप. Synonyms: Bhaktya, by devotional service; tu, but; Ananyaya, without being mixed with fruitive activities or speculative knowledge; Shakyaha, possible; Aham, I; Evam Vidaha, like this; Arjuna, O Arjuna; Jnatum, to know; Drashtum, to see; Tatvena, in fact; Praveshtum, and to enter into; Cha, also; Parantapa, O mighty armed one. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation: The Supreme Lord said, My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. Purport: Krishna can be understood only by the process of undivided devotional service. He explicitly explains this in this verse, so unauthorized commentators who try to understand Bhagavad Gita by the speculative process will know that they are simply wasting their time. No one can understand Krishna or how he came from parents in a four-handed form and at once changed himself into a two-handed form. It is clearly stated here that no one can see him. Those who, however, are very experienced students of Vedic literature can learn about him from the Vedic literature in so many ways. There are so many rules and regulations, and if one at all wants to understand Krishna, he must follow the regulative principles described in the authoritative literature. One can perform penance in accordance with those principles. As far as charity is concerned, it is plain that charity should be given to the devotees of Krishna who are engaged in his devotional service to spread the Krishna philosophy or Krishna consciousness throughout the world. Krishna consciousness is a benediction to humanity. Lord Chaitanya was appreciated by Rupa Goswami as the most munificent man of charity because love of Krishna, which is very difficult to achieve, was distributed freely by him. And if one worships as prescribed in the temples in India, there are always some statue, usually of Vishnu or Krishna. That is a chance to progress. For the beginners in devotional service to the Lord, temple worship is very essential. and this is confirmed in the Vedic literature. One who has unflinching devotion for the Supreme Lord and is directed by the spiritual master can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead by revelation. For one who does not take personal training under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, it is impossible to even begin to understand Krishna. The word tu is specifically used here to indicate that no other process can be used, can be recommended, or can be successful in understanding Krishna. The personal forms of Krishna, the two-handed form and the four-handed, are completely different from the temporary universal form shown to Arjuna. The four-handed form is Narayana and the two-handed form is Krishna. They are eternal and transcendental, whereas the universal form exhibited to Arjuna is temporary. The very word Sudurdarsham, meaning difficult to see, suggests that no one can see that, no one saw that universal form. It also suggests that amongst the devotees there was no necessity of showing it. That form was exhibited by Krishna at the request of Arjuna because in the future, when one represents himself as an incarnation of God, people can ask to see his universal form. Krishna changes from the universal form to the four handed form of Narayana and then to his own natural form of two hands. This indicates that the four handed forms and other forms mentioned in Vedic literature are all emanations of the original two handed Krishna. He is the origin of all emanations. Krishna is distinct even from these forms, not to speak of the impersonal conception. As far as the four-handed forms of Krishna are concerned, it is stated clearly that even the most identical four-handed form of Krishna, which is known as Mahavishnu, who is lying on the cosmic ocean and from whose breathing so many innumerable universes are passing out and entering, is also an expansion of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, one should conclusively worship the personal form of Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is eternity, bliss, and knowledge. He is the source of all forms of Vishnu. He is the source of all forms of incarnation, and He is the original Supreme Personality as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. In the Vedic literature, it is stated that the Supreme Absolute Truth is a person. His name is Krishna, and he sometimes descends on this earth. Similarly, in Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a description of all kinds of incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and there it is said that Krishna is not an incarnation of God, but is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Similarly, in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Mattaha Parataram na Anyat. There is nothing superior to my form as the personality of Godhead, Krishna. He also says elsewhere in the Bhagavad Gita, Aham Adirhi Devanam. I am the origin of all the demigods. And after understanding Bhagavad Gita from Krishna, Arjuna also confirms this in the following words Param Brahma Parandhama Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. I now fully understand that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, and that you are the refuge of everything. Therefore, the universal form which Krishna showed to Arjuna is not the original form of God. The original is the Krishna form. The universal form, with its thousands and thousands of heads and hands, is manifest just to draw the attention of those who have no love for God. It is not God's original form. The universal form is not attractive for pure devotees who are in love with the Lord in different transcendental relationships. The Supreme Godhead exchanges transcendental love in his original form of Krishna. Therefore, to Arjuna, who was so intimately related with Krishna in friendship, this form of the universal manifestation was not pleasing, rather, it was fearful. Arjuna, who is a constant companion of Krishna's, must have had transcendental eyes. He was not an ordinary man. Therefore, he was not captivated by the universal form. This form may seem wonderful to persons who are involved in elevating themselves by fruitive activities, but to persons who are engaged in devotional service, the two handed form of Krishna is the most dear. We shall continue to read in the next session. Thank you for joining. Granthara Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Vishwa Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.